everybody. How many of you like to drink craft beer? Raise your hand. Both hands. We discovered this a couple years ago up at a Kroger one time and found out that I kind of like them a lot more so than your traditional Buds, Millers and stuff like that. They're a lot more flavorful, apparently a lot more fun to brew at home. You got little microbreweries popping up all over the country. I mean, it's a multi-billion-dollar business right now. So let's look at this thing from a gardener standpoint. If you're somebody who likes to eat tomatoes, you learn how to grow tomatoes, right? If you're somebody who likes green beans, squash, you want to go to the grocery store and buy it, or do you want to learn how to grow it yourself? You want to grow it yourself. So what is the one of the primary ingredients or most important ingredients in craft beer these days? Hops. That's where you get those unique flavors from. Cascade, Sentinel or Centennial, a whole bunch of different varieties out there. I considered growing these things earlier this year. I was looking for some of the rhizomes to get, and they were all sold out. So I said, oh well, maybe next year. And we happened to be coming through Charlottesville back on June 26th. Stopped at a little place called Fifth Season Gardening up there just to see what they had, and lo and behold, they had some hop plants in there already growing. So we got 3 Chinook and 2 Zeus. And if you don't know what they smell like or what the flavors are, Chinook is it's a very tropical kind of thing. Zeus, I think, is in that same family. This is where you're going to get the flavors from. So I did a little bit of reading online, trying to figure out how do you grow these things, because I'd never grown them before. And one of the things they talked about was you had to have a tall trellis, because these suckers will grow up 14 foot tall and, you know, farther sometimes. So I got them in the ground, and one of the things I do when I want something to grow really well and I really want this thing to work is I'll put some compost in the hole when I plant it, and I did that. Now for my trellis, what I decided to do was use the top rail chain link fence deal. I've got a setup that I use across the driveway at Christmas to put Christmas lights on, so I'm just borrowing that temporary to see how this thing goes. So I got it all set up and I mulched around them, and these suckers just took off, started growing like crazy. As you can tell, the Chinook was really happy to be out here. And based on what you see from these pictures right here, I'm going to stop and just ask you this question. Which one of those varieties, the 3 plants of Chinook or the 2 Zeus, do you think actually got to the top first? Now, the fact that I'm asking you this ought to tell you something's up. Let me move this camera over just a tad bit and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So here's what I'm talking about. These 3 are Chinook, and these 2 on the back side are Zeus. And one thing you will notice is all the Chinook got up about 8 foot tall, give or take, and they stopped. That's as high as they went. It wasn't an issue with just one plant. They're all 3 did the exact same thing. So that kind of tells me that their growth habit is going to be a little different than Zeus. Could be the time of year that I planted them, some things like that, but this will be something to take into consideration, and why you want to grow plants, test them out before you just go hog wild with a whole row out here. You saw the peas and stuff out here. I planted these rows, trying to work this soil and build it up a little bit so I can plant more hops, but I need to know how they're going to grow. The Zeus back here, the Zeus is going all the way up to the top and then come over, hanging down and grab the next string and going back up again. That's a bad plant right there, I'm going to tell you what. And they are both loaded with hops. Now here's why you make YouTube videos. You give and you take. So I give a whole lot with the gardening, and I teach what I know and stuff like that. When it comes to growing these hops, I have absolutely no idea when it comes to harvesting and all that kind of stuff. I understand the first year you don't do any pruning, so I didn't. I just kept wrapping everything up. Now they're all full of these little hop clusters, and they're starting to turn a little bit brown. I think it's about time to pick these things. So this is my hop setup. Like I said, I have no idea when exactly to pick these things and all that kind of stuff. And Anything else beyond that, feel free to leave your comments if you know a lot more than I do, which is pretty good chance that you do. And let me know what the next steps are, any advice, what you have, if there's different varieties that you have grown that maybe behaved a little bit differently or whatever. Just whatever information you have, that would be most helpful. In the meantime, I would do what most people do and go watch a whole bunch of YouTube videos, see what happens. So in closing, if you like craft beer and you're a gardener, you have one option. You have to grow your own hops. That's the only way to make it legitimate. So thanks for watching. Thanks for the support. And as always, Lord willing, we'll see you next time.